Last Tuesday against the Bucks, PG had 35, 5 and 5, hit 9 threes.
Yeah, that got him tested.
Paul George drops 32. Looks like he just found the fountain of youth, and 4 nights later the league basically nukes a quarter of his season. 25 games, no pay, and the public gets the classic NBA response. Don't ask what it was. Then PG says it was an improper medication, tied to mental health treatment. And that's where this stops being a normal suspension and turns into a bigger question. Is the system broken, or is the story incomplete? Because if this is really mental health treatment, why does it end with the same punishment the league uses for serious drug violations?
First, the news out of Philly. 4 nights ago, Paul George had what was probably his best game of the season. Scored 32, had 9 threes, and a win over the Bucks.
Let's talk about how insane this timeline is. 4 nights before the hammer comes down, PG torches Milwaukee 32 points, 9 threes, Philly wins, and for once the Sixers look like a team that can actually scare people. Then January 31st, 2026, boom, the NBA announces 25-game suspension without pay for an anti-drug program violation. Starts immediately. Same night the Sixers are supposed to play the Pelicans, and your max guy isn't even in the building.
The NBA suspended him 25 games for violating the league's anti-drug program. We get more on that as we check in with senior NBA insider Shams Charania.
And here's the part that always feels slick: the league won't tell you the substance. They never do. They'll happily announce the punishment, loudly, but the details, locked behind privacy. So fans are expected to just accept, trust us, it's serious enough for 25 games, while not knowing whether we're talking about a contaminated supplement, a misprescribed med, or something that screams performance-related. And in that vacuum, people don't stay calm. They assume the worst.
This is a highly unusual and stunning development, Ernie, for one of the league's really great players in the past and someone of his caliber.
Then the reporting drops that George described it as mental health related, not physical, and improper medication. Okay, so here's the obvious question: where was the clearance process? Where was the team doctor? Where was the approval paperwork? Where was the therapeutic use exemption conversation? Because the NBA isn't some random gym league. This is a billion-dollar machine with compliance departments. A veteran doesn't just foops his way into a 25-game ban without something going sideways.
But Paul George told me today in a statement that this occurrence happened for Paul George with this test that led to a 25-game ban due to an improper medication for a mental health related issue, not a physical one.
George's statement was basically, I've advocated for mental health. I sought treatment. I made a mistake. I take responsibility. I apologize to the Sixers and Philly. I'll come back better. Respect for owning it. But fans aren't wrong for asking, how does a 15-year vet on a $51.7 million not triple check every pill that goes into his body? The NBA literally gives players education lists, warnings, and protocols. And under the CBA, a 25-game suspension isn't a slap. It's the standard first offense nuke for certain categories. Intent doesn't matter once the test is confirmed. That's the harsh reality. The policy is built to be automatic.
And remember, back in 2020, during the NBA bubble, Paul George was outspoken about mental health that he faced during that time, even in the past few years.
And the mental health angle hits harder because PG has actually talked about this stuff publicly: bubble era, anxiety, pressure, the whole thing. So the conversation shifts to something even uglier. If this truly was a mental health medication issue, then either A, the league has a policy problem, or B, George didn't follow the medical approval process, or C, we're not being told the full story. He's reportedly eligible to return March 25th, 2026, only about 10 games left before the playoffs. That's not a reset. That's a scramble.
He will now be sidelined through March 25th. He's going to be eligible for the last 10 games of the 76ers season.
And then you see the number that turns this from sports news into, oh my God.
And in total, guys, this is going to cost Paul George almost $12 million.
80, because financially, this is brutal. On a $51.7 million salary, you're losing roughly $470K per game on proration. Over 25 games, that's about $112 million gone. Gone hell. Not, we'll revisit, forfeited. And yeah, PG is rich. But $12 million is still a ridiculous punishment if the public story is wrong mental health medication. That's why people are furious. The punishment is heavy. The details are light. And it also hits the Sixers' books. Luxury, tax math shifts, flexibility shifts, timing shifts. It's not just PG paying a price. The whole franchise gets shoved into a new reality.
Leaving the team a little over $1 million over the threshold and making it easier for the 76ers to dip out of the tax this week without harming the roster.
Now here comes the part everyone whispers, but nobody can prove. The timing is convenient. Philly's been juggling roster upgrades versus luxury, tax pain. Then suddenly, a massive salary gets partially wiped in terms of tax impact, and the team gets new options without making a trade. Is that evidence of anything? No. Is it the kind of coincidence that makes people skeptical? Absolutely. And on the court, it's simple. Losing George means less spacing, less defense, fewer guys who can generate offense when plays break down. It forces Maxey and Embiid to do more, and that's how you end up gassed in April.
But I just want to say that, they give us a booklet on what to do and what not to do. They give us a booklet.
The media reaction was split, but the harshest point was also the simplest. Shaq's angle players get a guide, a list, a process. You're a pro. This shouldn't happen. And he's not wrong. The league has built an entire infrastructure to stop exactly this.
They also give you inside the booklet how long it takes to get rid of something. So, I don't want to elaborate what he was doing or what he was doing, but, stuff like this should not happen.
But then Kenny Smith throws the grenade. If it's legit mental health treatment, why is it treated like a standard drug violation? Because that's where the NBA's messaging starts to look shaky.
Well, if this is the accuracy of what happened, isn't this an oxymoron, like a contradictory of terms?
Of the league publicly says, mental health matters. But if a player seeks treatment and gets hit with the maximum automatic penalty, what does that teach the next player who's struggling? It teaches them to shut up. It teaches them to avoid treatment. It teaches them that privacy and protection are not the same thing.
Like, you have mental health and you're taking medicine for it that you can't. That would be, to me, that's why I don't understand it.
And Barkley basically verbalized what a lot of fans were already thinking. This explanation feels incomplete. Not, he's guilty of something evil. But the story doesn't add up. Because if it's truly medical, there should have been a path. And if there wasn't a path, then the league has a serious blind spot.
There's something fishy going on here. Now, I don't joke around about mental health, but if you're taking some for mental health, that's got to be an outlier to the NBA.
Here's the real trap. Privacy rules protect players from stigma, but they also protect the league from scrutiny. No substance named means supporters can't fully defend him. Skeptics can fill the gap with conspiracy, and everyone just argues in circles. That's the worst possible outcome. Maximum punishment, minimum
This doesn't make sense.
Like, there's never a good reason taking performance-enhancing drugs, Shaq. But if you're taking a drug for your mental health, you should get a hall pass.
And then you get the accountability crowd saying mental health can't become a shield. That's a fair concern in a general sense, because you don't want the language of treatment to become a loophole. But that's also why the NBA needs a transparent, consistent medical clearance pathway that doesn't destroy players for trying to get help. Right now, the whole story makes both sides angry because nobody trusts what they can't see.
I believe him when he say this is mental health medicine, because I do believe if I can't do what I want to do because of my body, my mental is messed up.
So what is this really about? It's about a league that wants credit for supporting mental health, while enforcing a policy that doesn't communicate clearly when mental health care collides with banned substances. It's about a system that moves instantly and aggressively on drug violations, automatic penalties, no context, while other types of league discipline have historically felt slower and inconsistent. And it's about one brutal reality: Paul George's best game in weeks got followed by the kind of suspension that changes seasons, legacies, and locker rooms. Now the only question left is the one the NBA never answers. What exactly was it? And why did it get this far without being cleared?